Earlier this year, I ordered a whole bunch of pavers and built a patio out of them, and that left me with all these pallets. I also this year got engaged and we're now planning a wedding. So what I want to try to do is see if I can use some of these pallets to make a wedding decoration.
And the first step to building my decoration will be taking the boards off the pallet without damaging them, which can be a difficult process since the wood on a pallet is not the highest grade. Now, I found that pulling the nails with the pry bar was a very intensive process and very tedious. It was very difficult to try to lift one of the nails out and then carefully pull it out without damaging the wood boards that we're trying to pull off. And I'm trying to pull as many of these off without damaging them because I want to reuse them on the face of the pallet decoration. So I tried a couple different methods to try to get the boards off. The next method I tried was to actually saw off the ends of the boards, so the only nails I had to take off were in the middle. The problem was I still had to go in and try to pry the nails off individually in the middle of the face of the board, which was no easier even with the sides already done for me. And then I was left with a board that was smaller than the rest of my boards, and ideally I want the boards to be just as long as the existing boards across the pallet. One of the things I found most difficult about removing these boards is as we pull these nails out, that sometimes the wood splits. And if we take a look here, we can see I have lots of wood that has split or broken off as I've been pulling these boards off. But I have found a solution that seems to work best. What I've found is if you can use your pry bar to get a little bit of space in between the board and the beam here, you can sneak a saw through, and it's actually easier just to cut these nails off with a hacksaw than just trying to pry it off, because prying it off will just destroy the board. And then once we have our board with the nail head still in it, we can just flip it around and then just use some nails to pop the bottoms off. And we have the nail head. Now we got a board in good condition, and it was really easy to take it out. So then I just repeated this process to remove fully intact boards from the pallets. Alright, what I'm doing now to this pallet is I'm taking off some of the planks that I pulled off and just stacking them here to give me an idea of what a pallet wall might look like. And I'm liking the way it's looking so far. I started off with 4 complete pallets, and what I did is I stripped the boards off of 2 of those pallets. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take those boards that I stripped off and I'm going to attach them to the existing pallets that I haven't pulled anything off of. And because I have 2 different pallets that I can do this to, I have one pallet that I'm going to be using as my practice pallet, the one where I can attach maybe some of the rougher boards on there as just a practice so I don't mess up when I do the real one. And then I have a nice palette that I'm going to do everything very carefully on so that at the end of this, as long as I don't make any mistakes, I'm going to have 2 palette walls that I'll have available to use. And if I do have any mistakes, hopefully all the mistakes are applied to the practice palette. And then once I got them looking the way I like, I can start to nail them into place. After I got the boards nailed in as a full wall, I can think about moving on to the next step, which is sanding everything smooth. If there's any imperfections that you might want to think about correcting, this would be the time to get some wood filler and fill in those imperfections. After we finished out smoothing out our pallet wall, the next step is going to be to either stain or paint the wall according to our taste. I use this Rust-Oleum dark walnut wood stain. The next thing I want to start to think about is adding legs so that the wall can stand up on its own. And the first step is to cut down the boards on the back side so that they're flush with the support beams. The reason that I'm doing this will make more sense a little later on. Notice how the bottom 4 boards don't extend beyond the beams. The legs will be made from the beams of the stripped pallets. The legs will be attached by drilling a hole through the leg board and the base of the decoration pallet wall. With these holes drilled on both sides, I can then add a nut and a bolt to secure the leg. After I've added one bolt to each side of the pallet wall, I can drill additional holes to add a second bolt to either lock the leg in a standing mode or to keep them folded for easier transportation. Once we have our clean wall face, we can think about how we want to decorate our wall. One thing you could do is buy a set of letters like these and spell out your own message. But what I would really recommend is heading to Etsy and have a custom message created for you in a script lettering. There's a good chance that you can have everything spelled out for you at an even cheaper rate than spelling it yourself with the letters, if you're willing to spray paint the script messages yourself. And the end results typically look better as well. The final steps would be to add other touches that you want on the pallet wall and then come up with a way to attach it to the wall. I chose to attach my letters by hanging them on nails that I drove into the wall, instead of gluing them on. That way I can remove the letters or sell and reuse the pallet with different messaging. All in all, this was a very affordable project. The only thing I really had to buy was the custom lettering, wood stain, and paint, since old pallets are typically something you can find for free, and in my case, just left over from my patio project. Not bad considering the fact that if you wanted to buy an even smaller sign like this, you would have to pay a lot more. And you could probably do this project even cheaper if you found pre-made messages and lettering that matched what you wanted, so you didn't need to have custom work done. The pallet wall ended up working out great at our wedding, and we hope that this video can help you plan for your event. Thank you for watching, and consider liking this video if it helped inspire you for your event.